Hello, Gemini. Thank you so much, you guys, for being here. And a really big thank you to all of you who followed me over here. I love you guys. All right, Gemini. So before I get started, just to remind everybody, I read from Sun, Moon, and Rising, but feel free to apply this message to wherever Gemini is in your chart. And please make sure that you're only taking in the messages that resonate with you. All right, Gemini, I was kind of excited to get to this because I really want I have to see what the cards are saying about this because this is really specific. You're going to have an encounter with someone that you didn't think cared about you or had any compassion for you and what you're going through. Both of these are clearly talking about this. But it's connected to the fact that I think that you're done wearing this mask of being okay with temporary flings. Like, this is Knight of Wands with Masquerade, right? So compassion, kindred spirit, masquerade. Compassion, let me just read the blessing here. First of all, working with this card talks about acts of service and doing volunteer work, which absolutely that could be where, a big part of compassion will play into your life. But because of kindred spirit and what this card actually talks about, I do think that the encounter is going to be possibly with somebody who may have been in and out of your life once before, or it's going to be somebody that you find that kindred spirit with where you didn't think that you had that connection with them. So the blessing, it says, this is an opportunity to change your mind about who has compassion within their heart and who is a caring being. For the great nurturing tenderness and yearning to ease the misery in the world through being kind to you at this time will come through an unexpected source. And there is great goodness in their act, although you may never have thought of them as one or the kind who cares. And then with kindred spirit, there's a little bit of a question that comes along with this. So it says that this may be affirming an existing relationship, prompting you to look differently at an ongoing one, or it could be the universe preparing you to expand your horizons in readiness for a new meeting. And that's what I feel like is happening here, although there is still this kind of like in and out kind of connection that is happening. Now, this could be something that the both of you are relating to, though, as well. It says, be aware of this energy at work and contemplate its relevance to your present situation. And if it's relevant to what you are currently dealing with, that's where I feel like masquerade is coming through. Sorry, Gemini. I don't know why, but my COPD just does not want to behave today. My apologies for coughing. So masquerade. And this is what I mean by this being Knight of Wands type of energy. It says, what I can't have forever, I will have for a minute. What I can't have for a minute, I will hold to me for 1 second. And then the sentence says, under the guise of Cupid, I will come to you. Under the guise of a thief, I will fly away. And this one talks about experiencing pleasure for pleasure's sake. But it's a mask that we wear. It's like accepting relationships with people who you know have no intention of being something long-term. Now, this could be where you are connecting with a kindred spirit and finding compassion with somebody that you didn't expect. Especially if this is a situation where, this is you and another person dealing with one in particular that is playing the both of you, right? Which absolutely could be the case, unfortunately. But the kindred part here, I think, with masquerade is the fact that you and this person are tired of fleeting romance, right? Tired of doing this play of I'm okay with these temporary situations in my life when really you're not. And to me, this is like finding somebody who feels the same way. And then through that, there being the potential for something a little bit more sustainable and long-term, right? But I'm telling you, I think that I try to stay away from anything like prophetic, but I can't help but look at that and think, yeah, somebody's going to be coming in. But the interesting part, though, is the whole idea that you didn't think that this person would understand or care. And this may end up being either, a lifelong relationship that you have, and it could be romantic, it could be a friendship, whatever the case may be. You're bonding over the fact that you're tired of in and out situations. That's what I feel like is going to happen. All right, Gemini, your overall, the Five of Swords. Ugh. No, why? All right. And again, right, like that would be something to bond over. If you and another person have both dealt with situations like this. So this is you dealing with the no-win situation. Somebody who is willing to say or do whatever it takes to get what they want. They don't give a shit about how you feel. So, this could be happening within a relationship. It could be happening within the workplace. Whatever the case is, you're dealing with somebody who has no regrets when it comes to hurting you. And this, to me, feels like an unfair type of situation as well. In the past, the Queen of Cups, speaking of compassion. So the Queen of Cups in the past and looking at the Five of Swords as the overall immediately says to me that whatever the situation or person you're dealing with, there was a level of empathy and love and caring and understanding, right? The problem is like I've always said with the Queen of Cups, she's the mirror. She knows how to mirror back to people what they are feeling. The problem is that, you're taking on things that may not belong to you. And it's really knowing the difference between your own emotions and something that was handed to you. But immediately there's this level of caring and empathy for someone who eventually turns around and then treats you like crap. Like, I don't know how else to see that, right? In the present, the sun, I love it. So no matter what's going on here, your energy may have been depleted by this. But because of the sun, there's the potential for there to be more clarity, new energy for you, more happiness, more joy. And for some of you, that may mean cutting off the empathy that you have for somebody who has no problem with treating you this way. But, this could be a connection, though, coming through that brings more clarity and more happiness, right? It's happiness, it's joy, it's new life. Okay, so future conditions, the Wheel of Fortune. We can't really do anything to stop cycles from playing out, right? It reminds me of amor fati. Can you love your fate? And I look at as astrology as like the map of your life and what you will experience and the things that will continuously play out. But the wheel here is showing that there is a turning of the situation in a more fortunate way, where there are better circumstances that are coming around. But you've been through this cycle before. And I think that for some of you, if there's like this love coming through, this compassion and understanding, I think that you're going to be met with that in a way where you're not going to be taken advantage of. I think that this is where the kindred is coming in. But there needs to be this understanding that the cycle has continued And you don't want to keep, replaying this. You don't want to, okay, things are going good now, but then when is it going to turn to shit again? And then what's it going to take for it to go good again? And then, that's my only problem with the wheel. I like the fact, though, that we're talking about more fortunate circumstances within a cycle that you're going through. But again, it's going to have to do with somebody that has no problem with hurting you. I don't think that this is self-sabotage here. But I'm interested to see how, this new energy and clarity is playing out with the changing of the cycle for you. But, again, it's to break it so that, when you get to the world, right, you've completed it successfully. The cycle may show itself again, but you'll be able to stop it before it starts. No more repeating the pattern, right? Your best path to follow, the Page of Pentacles. This, again, I feel like may have to do with, somebody else that's communicating to you, but there's an opportunity here with the clarity that's coming through for you to, take advantage of something a little bit more different. And I think it's also about, how you're going to act after gaining the knowledge that you need by going through this experience, right? There's that clarity that gives you that kind of education, right? Because I think of the student. But this may be communication coming through that's going to help you change the rotation of the cycle. And for some of you, this is about taking advantage of that opportunity as it presents itself. For some of you, right, like if we're talking about workplace situation, if you've been depleted emotionally by dealing with unfair circumstances, there is going to be an opportunity in the future for things to change, but it's based on whether or not you take advantage of new information that has been learned, and doing it in a way where you're going toward a different opportunity. Like I've learned everything that I can from this situation. I know now what is right for me, what opportunities I should be looking toward. But again, right, like a kindred spirit, somebody understands. In your environment, the Eight of Wands. So the last couple of signs have been dealing with this fast type of energy. And I think Taurus may have had this in their environment too. But then it showed up for Aries. The Eight of Wands, this is fast, things moving very quickly. And with the Sun, this is great because this is the type of energy that you want as far as changing this repetitive cycle, right, into a better spot where when it starts to come back around, you'll have, better information that you can apply in a way to where things don't go back to this whole, like, ending up in situations where you're treated like crap. But things happening quickly, direct communication, right? Acting as soon as things start to change. Because through that, I think, is where things will start to get better. But I'm still looking at, something happening right now in the present moment where there's new life, new growth, new energy. You being not drained by this situation anymore, refilling what has been depleted. But you're moving quickly through it. And it may be because of quick changes that are happening around you. But I like that what's going on around this is so much more positive than the overall energy that you may be dealing with. Your hopes and your fears, the Seven of Pentacles, right? So reevaluating the situation. This is where there needs to be acceptance of the fact that the growth that you were hoping to see may not be the case. But you have to be willing here to do something different. Okay, so this is what I have now. What if I try to do this or I take things in this direction? What kind of growth will I gain from that? So reevaluating the situation and looking at the potential for more growth for yourself, right? But this may also be reevaluating a connection you may have had with somebody who, I have to wonder if there is a part of them that isn't changing because they realize that you are coming in with this kind of compassion and understanding. You may actually be the one bringing life and light to somebody else. And the communication here is an opportunity to start things again, but in a more positive way, right? But this, I also too feel like, with everything in life, there's two sides to this. There's also the warning of repeating the cycle, right? But if you're willing to reevaluate things and look at the potential for more growth, that could definitely strengthen a connection that you have with somebody. But I still feel like you're the one coming in with this empathy and understanding. And some of you may absolutely feel like your emotions were taken advantage of. But things are changing here. And I'm wondering if you don't get some clarity through communication. And it could be that, this other person that you're dealing with is wanting things to change with you as well. Oh my God. And this is what I'm talking about. Capricorn coming out. The devil. Oh God. I gotta see this. The Four of Cups. Okay. The Queen of Pentacles, and then the Hierophant, and you have Taurus showing up now, so a lot of earth energy happening. The Four of Cups and looking at the Queen of Cups, if we're talking about you coming in with empathy, when do you hit the breaking point where you're tired of constantly, giving people another chance, constantly giving somebody another chance? This may be where you're looking at things like they just don't change. They're staying the same, but yet we're talking about you being locked into the negative pattern where there is an opportunity now for things to change in the right direction. So it is about breaking these patterns, but not being so willing to, accept new offerings that are coming with this without having a better understanding of, why somebody may be repeating their own negative pattern and sucking you into it. The Queen of Pentacles with the Sun, I like this because if we're talking about career, this is about you being very resourceful and not having to depend on anybody else for your own security and stability. And this is where new energy may be being put into this internal self that is going on within you, right? And things very changely quickly. Let me slow down. Things changing very quickly that brings out a version of you that is more secure in yourself and not dependent on emotional responses from somebody else who keeps offering you the same thing over and over again. This is where there's a realization that you don't have to accept that. So it may be you very quickly changing in this situation. And then with the Hierophant, we're talking about your belief structure. And then there's the spiritual understanding of the negative patterns that you have been going through because you're just playing your part in this with the Five of Swords, right? But the commitments that you make to certain beliefs surrounding this can either keep you confined or they can set you free. And this may be new spiritual education or understanding or information that may be helping you to see things in a different way, or this is another person. But either way, there's the kindred nature that's going on, where I think that the both of you no longer want to wear the mask of pretending like everything's okay. We don't want to continuously repeat the negative cycles anymore. And absolutely, this could be somebody coming through, though, too, that is bringing this out of you. I always look at the queens as what is happening internally. But in terms of people, it could be because of somebody external that something within you starts to come forward. But it's about your own security and stability within yourself, not being emotionally dependent, because you come in with the Queen of Cups, right? But we're not accepting the offers anymore with the Four of Cups. And there's more security within yourself. And then there's this change of belief structures. But this could also be using spiritual information to break very negative patterns, because things have absolutely the opportunity to move in a much better direction than where they have been. But that's also based on your reevaluation. Now, if you're constantly doing the coulda, woulda, shoulda, that's where, you know, no growth can happen from that, right? We're not doing that anymore. But this is really, you know, reevaluating it on whether or not there is the potential for continued growth. And if you have found yourself in a negative pattern, I don't think that you're alone. I don't think that you're the only one that got wrapped up in this. You know, and again, I say that because of the oracle cards, definitely, but I can't help but look at this difficulty, and then with the devil coming out and the breaking of the cycle, or the change of this where you're not continuously playing out the same thing, and then there's this understanding that's happening. Absolutely, this could be about somebody having compassion for you in the negative cycle that you may be going through with somebody in particular, like I said, who does not care about how they hurt you. That is the Five of Swords, right? Now, on the other hand, if you have been hurt by somebody, paying them back repeats the cycle. That's the other part of this that I want to say. And obviously that's not going to be for all of you, but, you know, for those of you who understand, right, like, there's always, in certain situations, especially when you're looking at the devil coming out, in certain situations, right, sometimes that inward tendency to want to be petty is not going to help, right? Like, success is the best revenge. That's what I want to say. Balance. But I can't look at this and not think that you're not alone in this. Yeah, okay. And I'll talk about compassion here in a second. And then teach. And this is what I mean with the Page of Pentacles, right? So new understanding and new information being used in a way where it can help to teach others, or this is something that is teaching you how to maintain better balance when it comes to the compassion that you express. So let's talk about the idea of compassion. And this is important. And just like everything, there are two sides to this. When you understand that when people do things harmful to you, that is coming from programming that was given to them by somebody else who got that from somebody else, and so on to the beginning of fucking time, that's where you understand the importance of compassion and forgiveness. It does not mean that you need to continue to be involved with people who do not know how to do their own self-reflection. But you don't have to harbor anything about it either. So there's the two sides of the compassion. Having compassion for yourself, or having the feelings that you do based on the pain that you've received from another. But also understanding, I don't have to live with this because I understand that what they're doing is coming from something that they're not aware of. That is the power of compassion. But having proper balance with that, I think, is something that you're going to be learning here in the future. And you may be able to use that as something to teach another. And that may be where the kindred spirit is coming through, right? But I love it. Just Everybody's spiritual journey is their own. You can plant seeds, but you can't do anything to make another person see how their actions are creating a shitty reality for themselves. They have to do the inward reflection to see that. So there's where the balance comes in, right? Do I continuously get wrapped up in this negative cycle for somebody who can't help themselves? Or do I finally say, you know what, I've learned from this. Let me teach myself on how to create balance where I'm not continuously giving my compassion to somebody who can't even appreciate it. You're not the only one that got that. A fiery climax approaches with the devil. Oh boy, the breaking of chains for sure, right? The energy is gaining momentum. So not only is it going to reach that climax, but then it's going to mean that energy is going to continue to swiftly move you through this cycle that's happening. Wow, man, I really like this reading, and I really hope to hear from some of you if by any chance you start to find yourself having a connection with somebody you didn't expect. But thank you so much, you guys. I love you, and I hope to see you again soon.